Welcome, Vault Dwellers. My name is Nacho Bidness, and today we are playing the Fallout 76 beta. And man, this is one pretty game. So, I wanted to take a moment to talk about the build system in general, and then I'll do another video that details a little bit more about the electrical system. One thing that I'll mention is that recording in 76 is a little bit more challenging than it was when it comes to the Fallout 4, and that in large part is because we can't just wait for the time of day to change to get the light that we're looking for. The game progresses at the same pace for everybody in the entire world, which means that I have to try and catch the light whenever I can in order to record. So I have built my very first little box here. I know that there are probably other builders who have already gotten to build like 3-story mansions and stuff, but I missed one of the beta sessions. Have not had a lot of time to do building yet, and I'm really slow when it comes to new games as far as trying to get used to new mechanics and how things work. So it's taking me a little bit longer than maybe some other people, and that's okay. I accept that, and after all, YouTube is my hobby, not my profession, and so I don't feel a particular need to rush with particular videos. But I know that there's going to be a lot of people that are wanting to get a builder's perspective on 76, and so far in my small group of YouTube friends, I haven't seen anybody that has done that yet. So let's take a look at how the build system looks and feels and works when it comes to 76. So first off, you'll notice that the menu structure is different, and I know that anybody watching this video is probably already familiar with that. There's also this this blueprint option. You can save entire buildings. However, you do have to have the resources necessary in order to build the building again. You also have to have enough space in order to do that, and enough level ground to put it into. One of the things that I will mention when it comes to blueprints is that you're better off just blueprinting your building and not including things like this water pump or the plants here. Let me show you what I mean here. Let's enter the blueprint mode. So basically what I'm doing is everything that's selecting in blue, I'm adding to my blueprint. Here's the thing about that. If I go and select all these extraneous pieces outside of my building, when I go to try to build that blueprint, let's see here. Let me try and get a foundation here, and we'll call that good for this blueprint, and we'll just call it junk. So now let me go try and build this this blueprint. You see how all those extra pieces stick way out from the building? It means that this is going to be very hard to place down. The smaller you make your blueprints, the easier it's going to be to squeeze yourself into the space available. Speaking of the space available, I'm actually set up here right next to the church in the very first town that the main quest directs you to. Normally you can't quite build so close to towns, but this little corner outside the church I was able to build at. And this is a great location for the first few hours of the game because, spoiler free, we'll say that there's a quest giver inside the church. There's a merchant inside there. There are silt beans available for harvesting there. There is a workbench over here, which until you have the blueprints to build workbenches, having one handy is very nice. And there's additional workbenches inside the church And finally, there's a small herd of Brahmin that spawn up the hill, and that means that you have easy access to meat and leather, both important crafting items for staying alive. The meat for food and the leather for crafting armor items. As far as the space available in the camp system, from what I've been able to determine, the first place you put your camp down, it defines the area that you can build in, and we get a fairly good-sized area. I would say that maybe this is maybe just a little bit smaller than Jamaica Plains, for example, but we're not building settlements, we're building camps, and that means that the space that we have around here is it doesn't have to be quite so large in order to build a single dwelling. Now that's still, I think, not as exciting as doing entire settlements, but it is what it is, and the fact that we can build anywhere is certainly interesting, and I think is going to make for some fun gameplay as far as figuring out where is the best place to build. Now, you may have noticed that I just moved my camp inside this build space, and yet the boundary didn't move. That's nice because now I can put my camp object here inside my house without accidentally redefining the boundaries of my build space. One other thing that I'll mention here is that these stash boxes are linked to your camp, and your camp is linked to your stash box. Put anything in one, and it will appear in the other. Same with all of your workbenches here. Now, or at least as far as accessing crafting materials. Cool thing about stash boxes is that only you can access the material in your stash box. No one can steal it from you. Whenever another player comes up and accesses the stash box, what they will see is the inventory that they put in their stash box. Another nice thing that I'll mention about the build area here is that it also spawns right next to a couple of objects that we can harvest wood from. Another thing that's just dead useful. Getting in and out of the build mode is a lot faster than I'm used to in Fallout 4 because I had so many mods installed in my game there. With regards to that stash box, I almost forgot. So other players can steal resources that you're generating. For example, another player could come up and harvest these plants. Only once I harvest them and put them in my stash box are they safe. In fact, I accidentally stole some water from Quicksmoke because he had a water purifier set up, and I kind of looked at it and was like, oh, there's water inside of it. And I misclicked and took it, and so, yeah, like, other players can steal your resources up until you put them in your stash box. With regards to the building objects themselves, the vast majority of things are locked when you first come out of the vault. You have to find plans for everything. In fact, I think you had to even find plans for these concrete foundations. Now you can scroll through these menus vertically and then horizontally pick variations of the different items. Now you'll notice that these floors, for example, in Fallout 4 I could just put this down anywhere. Now everything must snap to a foundation. No exceptions. Pillar glitch no longer works in Fallout 76. So far, I don't know if rug glitch works because I don't have the necessary plans to build rugs. In a similar way, walls can only be built when they're snapped to a foundation. And on the one hand, I feel like I am a little bit stifled in my creativity when they impose these rules on us. On the other hand, given the multiplayer nature of the game, I can understand why glitching stuff together might be problematic. Now, the roofs, again, similar, must be snapped to everything as well as stairs. So that is good and bad, I guess, as far as can we make some kind of interesting or crazy structures? Um, Things are going to look more uniform in 76 than they did in Fallout 4. And things like that steam tractor I bashed together for the G4 XP challenge. So far, can't think that there's any way to be able to do something like that here in 76. Now you'll notice that almost all of the different items are locked. That is because you have to have plans to build everything. I feel fortunate that so far I have managed to find plans to build all of the major workstations. The weapons workbench, both variations are here and going to be familiar to everyone. Where is the... Clearly I still don't remember where the menus are yet. The cooking station has a couple variations, both of which are, actually all three of which are familiar to us from Fallout 4. Still only one armor workbench. Gosh darn it, I always wanted a second armor workbench in Fallout 4. There's the same two weapons workbenches. This Tinkerer's workbench is new. And this allows us to build ammo, and give me just a second, we'll go back to that. The chemistry stations are familiar, and so are the power armor stations, although we'll be able to use the small power armor station right out of the vanilla game, no mods required. So let's take a look at the Tinkerer's workbench briefly. So you can see that any workbench I approach, there's an option to scrap items, which is nice. It reduces weight quite a bit. So you can hit X and hit Y to scrap all junk. I've just got some leather in my inventory right now, and that scraps all my junk. And then I can come over here to my stash box and transfer and press Y again, and that stores all my junk. Nice way to very quickly do some inventory management. As far as what's available here in the Tinkerer's workbench, a lot of recipes in the game are hidden until you actually find the requirements for it. I don't know yet if there will be variants of ammo available. For example, I don't know if there will be like hollow point or armor piercing 308s. I don't think so. It doesn't appear. I haven't seen anything in a menu, for example, that would allow us to change ammo types. With regards to these bulk items, they are essentially a way to take several pieces of junk and put it into a single item in your inventory. So far, I don't believe that it offers like a weight savings or anything like that. So yeah, like 10 rubber I think would still weigh half a pound. It's just that now they are all consolidated into a single line item in your menu. The other ammo types, there's a lot of things that are familiar here. I am kind of interested in this cryocell. I'm wondering if there's going to be more of that than there was in Fallout 4, but there's really nothing new to see there. These 40mm grenades, I believe, are new, and of course we have the very familiar Molotov cocktails, baseball grenades, and frag grenades. Let's get out of here and get back into the build mode and take a look at everything that's not electrical. I'm going to save that for a separate video, since that is kind of the things that I feel like I most specialize in. There's a number of fences and such, but there are no junk fences, which seems like a glaring omission considering all of the time that we spent in Fallout 4 just messing around with junk fences and trying desperately to make like the same 4 or 5 junk fence pieces look different and cool, and mix them in with this and that and the other thing to make a realistic looking wall. I really don't know what good these fences do, because you can jump right over them. They're not tall enough to keep another player out. The guard stations here, aside from giving you just a little bit of cover, I can't really so far see an in-game use for these. There are other walls that are much larger that we can eventually build, but still, like I said, no junk fences. And in fact, now that I think about it, I'm not sure that I've seen any other railings other than this one right here. For the food section, these are for the most part very familiar. They even have the same exact variants as were available in Fallout 4, with the exception of the blackberry bush. That, in fact, is new. Oh, and I am being attacked. Well, that's what happens when you're playing a persistent game and you have the sound muted so that you don't get feedback in your recording. So that was random. Okay, so back here. So water, same things that we're used to seeing with water, although the way that it's used in game is different. You have to purify your water. This, at least if you're just using this standard water pump. If you don't boil or filter this water that comes out of here, it has rads and you have a chance to catch a disease if you drink it. I have seen other resource extractors. I don't know if there's other ones that will be allowed to build, or if those were just other extractors that that people kind of have found in the world. I think we'll skip over most of the appliances and talk more about those in the video that's concentrates on electronics. But the beds all again look really familiar. There's a lot of new chairs, but of course I can't hardly build any of them. The instruments are a new addition, and they're kind of fun. You can sit and play an instrument, and if you play it long enough, you get a perk called Well Tuned. It is a temporary buff to your stats while you're in world. And in fact, one of the very first things that I did after I left the vault was sat down with Quick Smoke and Phoenix outside the vault at some instruments that we found, and just kind of played for a while. It was kind of cool. Just going to move this over here on a more level ground. The stash boxes, I think that every container that we can build is a type of stash box. And these are also all going to, well, almost all of them are going to look very familiar. Then again, this one, bear-proof trash can. I don't have the plans to build that, but it looks kind of cool. A lot of familiar faces in this menu. I'm not sure exactly what it says. It's a trash can, but I've never seen a trash can that looks like that before. Rugs, lots of rugs. Some are new. I can't wait to be able to build this this bear rug, but I don't currently have the plans for these things yet. So until I get them, yeah, still locked out. I think that on the one hand, I find it annoying that I can't build so many things. On the other hand, it's kind of fun. Every time you get a new plan in the game, you're like, oh, cool, you know, a new thing that I can go build and add to my camp. Have not messed around with junk decoration yet. I see that Phoenix has just posted a video. And so if anybody is going to have already mastered junk decoration in Fallout 76. That is going to be Phoenix, so I will be interested to watch her video as soon as I have the time and see what junk decoration might be like. Guess I'm kind of disappointed that these shelves don't just snap together. That would be kind of nice. No Respawns did a video showing every single build object, and so I'm not going to try and go through everything. I'm just trying to hit an overview for maybe some people who don't have the patience to sit through an entire video that just shows all of the different objects. Posters are back, and powered posters are back, as well as some new clocks and things. I have not paid attention yet to see if any of these clocks are actually functional or not, and show the correct in-game time. Kind of disappointed that there's only one flag. I kind of was hoping that we might be able to have some different flags, but then again, just because everything that we see an awful lot of stuff in the menu. Oh, group event that I was just too busy to try and take part in. That failed. There's group events that happen. They're timed, and I just couldn't be bothered. At any rate, just because we see a lot of things in the menu and say that say find plans to build this, it doesn't 100% mean that these are the only things that are in the game. At least I hope not, because as of right now, there's a lot that feels fairly Spartan about the building system. At any rate, that is an overview of the building system itself and some initial first impressions, and maybe a good tip for a good place on where to camp when you start your own game in Fallout 76. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button down below, and if you want to see more, be sure and subscribe. I have additional 76 content coming, and if you didn't like, please tell me why in the comments so that I can try and do better for you next time. Until next time, my name is Nacho Bidness, and I'm saying it's a great big wasteland out there. Let's go have fun in it. I built the box, y'all.